Hi, Miss Lancaster here. I just wanted to do a quick little video, just kind of giving you some highlights of what's important for you to be focusing on for this chapter. I won't be doing any actual lectures in the course, but I try to give you some videos of other people giving some information in different modules. But I try to give you just a quick video of things that I want you to focus on while reading through the material and working on the material. So this chapter 1, is an introduction to sociology. So it's kind of introducing you to sociology as being a social science and how it is different from other social sciences and that it is a science. Okay, so kind of keeping that in mind while reading through it, remembering that this is a science class. And chapter 2 is the scientific method. So we'll be talking about research and how this is a science class in that one. It's an introduction into the sociological perspective and what that is and how we can view our social world in a different way using what you're learning in this class. They will talk about culture shock. The chapter will talk about the sociological imagination, a beginner's mind. Those are all things to kind of think about how that relates to your life and how understanding our social world differently due to these factors um, how this class will help shape the way that you see the world just a little bit differently. While reading through it, you should be looking at and understanding, make sure that you understand the difference between micro sociology and macro sociology, because that's really important in understanding that they look at different parts of our social world, but both of them are intertwined. And there's no clear line where you move from micro, which is looking at those small scale interactions, to the macro that's looking at the structural factors of how society impacts us. So that macro piece will impact the micro and the micro will impact the macro. Okay. You will also be introduced to the three major theories, the three major theoretical paradigms. So that's structural functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism. These three theories are very, very important that you get a grasp and understanding of. I want to warn you not to overthink these theories, but just to try to grasp the basic key ideas. At the end of this chapter, after this this chapter module, I will be sharing a file that actually gives you all of the key ideas that you need to understand for all of the three theories. But I'm just going to give you a real quick, not too much because you may not have read the chapter yet, but functionalism is a macro level theory. It talks about how every aspect of society has a purpose and a function, and they all work together. Cooperation, it's about cooperation, how everything kind of works together to make things function in society. Now, it does recognize that sometimes things don't function well, and that is when there's a dysfunction, and then changes have to take place because of that. Okay, so this is just very very key ideas that I want you to think about while reading through it. Understanding that all aspects have a purpose, have a function, everything works together to make society run smoothly. Okay. Stability and harmony are its focus. Conflict theory is also a structural level theory, a macro level theory, but it talks about how everything in society is in competition. So it's kind of counter to functionalism, where it says that there's an inequality and conflict in all aspects of our social structure, right? So there is this constant conflict because of the inequality that exists. And that inequality then shapes the conflict. Now, when we talk about conflict, that doesn't necessarily mean an external fighting, right? It can be even like the oppression that we could feel due to being lower in status of some sort, right? So recognizing that conflict and inequality is deeply embedded in the social structure. Now, keep in mind, it's focusing on that conflict, and then that conflict is what can lead to change. Inequality leads to conflict leads to change, and then hopefully to bring a greater equality. It really focuses on how there are the bourgeoisies or the haves in society and the have-nots. So those that have power and those that do not. Okay. Structural level, thinking about how inequality exists. Okay. Now, it's counter to what functionalism is talking about with everything having a purpose and bringing stability and harmony. But just because something is harmonious doesn't mean there can't be an inequality in the structure. So those are both looking at that structural level, but looking at it from different vantage points, right? When we think about a perspective, if I put my sunglasses on right now, the room would be dark, right? It's a different lens to look through. So each of the perspectives are kind of like that. Keep that in mind when you're thinking about perspectives. The last of the three major theoretical paradigms is symbolic interactionism. And this is a micro level theory. And it really focuses on how we in society, through our experiences and our interactions, learn the meanings that exist around us, right? So we have these symbols. The symbols shape our meanings, and then those meanings shape our interactions. But we learn the meanings of the symbols through our interactions. So it's this cyclical understanding of symbols, right? Behind my head, you can see my name is up there, K-I-M, Kim, okay? We know what that is. That's my name, right? But why is it a symbol, right? I can also see the picture that has mom on it too. Mom is a symbol. Those letters are a symbol that make the word that makes a symbol that we all have kind of a meaning of it, okay? But how do we know what that means? Because we've interacted in a society that has kind of given us those meanings. And that's kind of what symbolic interactionism is about. So you have those three are the three major theoretical paradigms. You will also be introduced to critical theory. You will be introduced to postmodern theory, mid-range theory, feminist theory. Those are sub-theories that we won't be focusing on as much, at least not yet, but they are introduced to you. So for this chapter, you want to really kind of understand the difference between micro and macro. You want to understand why sociology is a science, and then really kind of dig into those three theories, okay? Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great day.